I'm Christelle Muhimpundu. I was born and raised in Burundi, Bujumbura, and that's where I grew up. And that's actually where I did all my schooling until I finished high school. I was, a normal young African girl. I liked swimming, reading, and like everyone else, I liked to spend time with my friends. After high school, I had the opportunity to go to the US where I pursued my higher education. That's where I did a bachelor's degree and a master's. And that's where I worked from, for the longest time. I studied in undergrad business administration. So I did not do design. And I pursued design like years later after almost a decade of working. I worked mostly in hospitality. And as as I was reaching, as I was going up within the industry, I had a senior role, a senior sales manager. I had to make a decision if I continue with that career. And that's when I remembered, I actually knew that there was something that I always wanted to do, which was architecture. And that's when I switched path at that point and decided to go for design school, interior design. Like I got an MBA at the New York School of Interior Design in an MFA, a Master of Fine Arts in Interior Design. Yeah, I actually came across architecture back home in Burundi. I was introduced to architecture through a home that was being designed and built by an architect. And this was in high school. So I didn't really know what architecture was. But once they finished the house and I saw what it was very different from everything else that I had seen anywhere. It was like the way it was designed, the thought behind the spaces, how they were arranged. Like the interior was very different and it was super attractive to me. I was already into art, drawing a little bit, but without much information about it. And then I decided I will do architecture. But then I learned that it was a male-dominated field. It was hard to get into architecture. And that sort of put a break into actually going to architecture when I went to university. But it remained there. So the passion was there. So, and going outside of Burundi, I saw the world differently. Eventually, when I decided to do my master's degree, I had to decide it was an opportunity for me to pursue something that I was passionate about instead of, staying in the same field that I was in. And at the same time, I learned about interior design. Along the way, over the years, I found out about interior design. And when I looked into interior design, I found out that it was even more attractive than architecture in the sense that it goes beyond the structure, right? Interior design, I guess I can even talk about it now. It's not just about decoration. So I found out it's space planning. It's deciding what material goes into the space. It's deciding how space is being arranged, right? The material that goes on the floor, on the ceiling, on the walls, how the lighting is going to be into the space. It's deciding on the furniture that's going to be in the space. Really, interior design is, it's create a space for the person that's going to live in it or work in the space, be either comfortable or uncomfortable, be comfortable, feel inspired or not inspired, it's what makes a home feel homey. Or that's what made me decide to go into interior design. I felt like it takes the space to a next level. I do space planning, right? I plan the space. If you give me an office space, an empty shell, really, I will program the space what's going to be in the space. So I work with the client. So you start with working with the client all the way to the contractor and the artisan, the person who's going to make, what's going to be in the space. So you do the space planning, the budgeting, you do scheduling, and then you start doing concepts. You conceptualize what is the space going to look like, right? What is the space going to feel like? And you bring to life what is the vision of the client. If it's an office space, how is the space going to be laid out? Where is the meeting rooms are going to be? That, the boardroom, the office, the open space of the building. If it's a home, what is the kitchen going to look like? What are the bathrooms are going to look like, right? If it's, a hospitality, like a hotel, what is the lobby going to look like and feel like? What are the bedrooms going to look like? The guest rooms, the restaurant. So, and you go from, and how is that going to make what is the final outcome? This depends on the material you're choosing, right? What's going to be on the floor. Material that goes into a hospitality is different that goes into a home. What is the ceiling going to look like? You do design of the ceiling. You do design of what goes on the windows, on the wall, right? Not just a plain wall. You change the layout, the walls, you place the walls within the space. If it's not structural, you pretty much work with a structural team at the end of the day, to get the space to feel a certain way. The lighting, exactly as you mentioned, lighting is very important, Without lighting, really, the space does not happen. You can put everything together. If it's not well lit, it's not gonna do the job. So I joined MAS. I first did an internship with MAS, and then I joined them after graduation. That was in 2018. That's when I started working with MAS, and I went back in the US, finished my master's, and then I came back in 2018. That's when I joined them full time, and I was hired as a designer, interior designer. And I've been with them for the last 5-6 years now. And the reason I joined MAS is because of the way they work. They believe that design can bring positive change for the local and the global community. Design is not just making a space beautiful. It's seeing how it's going to impact the people who are using the space they're in. Imagine, being in a space that's not well lit, how it makes you feel. Imagine in a space that's not well ventilated, or natural airflow. How is that going to work, or how it's going to impact the people who are within the space? I think a good example would be hospitals, right? If a hospital is not well ventilated, we all know that natural ventilation or a good airflow avoids, contamination within the hallways of hospitals. So I think another reason I would join MAS is the way they approach the construction, using local material, local fabrication to use, and local craftsmen to actually, build or bring to life the buildings they're designing. Now, as part of MAS, I am a senior interior designer, and I'm part of the MAS Made studio. It is our furniture design studio. It's part of the bigger MAS design group, and we came about almost 6 years ago. Also, actually, when I joined MAS. So my position with MAS today is a senior interior designer, and I'm part of our MAS Made studio, which is our furniture design studio. And it came about almost 5 years ago. when Mass, as an architecture firm, was doing the Rwandan Institute for Conservation Agriculture, RICA, in Bugesera, and we did the same approach that Mass was doing for constructing RICA, using local material, local artisans to create a line of furniture that was made by Rwandan for the Rwandans. That is the work that I've been doing today, creating space that have furniture that are tailored for the space and that are made in Rwanda for Rwandans. Yeah. Over the last 5 years, we actually have been working with 85 plus artisans and manufacturers within Rwanda to produce over 15,000 pieces of furniture, and of course over different projects. And most of the people we've been working with are women, and I think it's one of the things that that attracted me to work in Rwanda, to come back home and to work with Mass. I think the work that we do is not just impacting our clients, it's impacting the people that we work with. You know, it's helping, it's improving the lives of the people we work with, you know, job creations, because the more projects we have, the bigger the projects, the better economic outcome it is for the people that we work with, right? So there's job creation, there is more training that's being done, and I think it's pretty fulfilling. It answers the reason why, it answers the why of me being here, you know, coming back, leaving, you know, the US and coming here. I've worked on several projects. The first one that I'll say was major was RICA, the Rwandan Institute for Conservation Agriculture, university that's in Bugesera. And then I've also worked on Norquin, which is the office building in Kigali. I've also worked on the Ellen DeGeneres Dan Fossey in Musanze. So those are, I would say, 3 of the major projects that I've worked on. When we started Mass Made, you know, the furniture design studio, I will say the challenges that I met with, or as our team met with, was with the local fabricators, right? After, you know, after understanding what is available on the market, what is the different artistry that Rwandans are doing, you know, convincing a person who's making a basket that they're selling to a tourist, that they can make a chair out of it, right? That we can incorporate it into a different shape than the shape that they've been making. You know, like that you can weave a metal frame in a certain way. The same thing, like if you look at the chair that we're sitting on, right? Like that was, I think, the challenging parts, you know, getting everyone to realize, hey, you're just as creative as us, and you can actually do a lot more with the skills that you have. You know, you can do it at a high quality, you can do different design, you can understand drawings, you know, and that can actually improve your life economically. You know, you go from doing what we have given you, our design, to maybe doing someone else's design that's also different from what you've been doing. I think it was a challenge at the beginning, but really it turned into something that was positive for us and for the makers and for the craftsmen. Yeah, the work that we do is actually can be demanding. Sometimes we have deadlines. Sometimes we have to go to site that's, outside of Kigali or outside of the country. And if you have young children, that can be very challenging. I sort of have to find a balance, remember that I need to go home early, you work with your coworkers, like on how, sharing tasks to make sure that you don't, overload yourself with with things that maybe someone else can also do. But this is something you have to do intentionally, right? If you don't have children, even when you don't have children, I think, you sort of have to remember that you have to go home and rest, and you become more productive after a restful night. Of course, when those deadlines are there, you don't want to make it a habit of going home late, just so you don't find yourself doing that every day, because then you don't have a personal life. So I would say it's something that you have to do intentionally, plan properly, work with others, your coworkers, to be able to to go home to your baby without going home too late. Of course, sometimes if you have to go work from home, then work from home. And I think this is something Mass has allowed us to do. If you need to work from home certain days, then you can work from home. And that's, I think that's been helping us, again, being part of our balancing, home life and work. For young people who really, have the passion to do interior design, do your research and, understand what is interior design. Is it really what I want to do? Because, once you start, once you start, you will be able to know if you like it or not. But if you do your research in advance, that will help you make a decision. But I would say definitely pursue your passion. It's not going to be an easy journey, especially if you're pursuing something that you love to do. It's always not that easy, but it's definitely can be rewarding. So I would say, do your research, find mentors, speak to others who have gone before you, and know that it's not going to be an easy journey. There's going to be some ups and downs, but at the end of the day, if it's really what you want to do, go for it. And not just for interior design, right? Whatever it is that you think you're passionate about, that you love to do, it can actually be a career. And even if it's not for the young people, even if you started in a different path, right? As you can see, one can change careers, you can change career path and actually be successful in it. Again, it's not going to be an easy journey, but you can only find out, when you actually go for it.